Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdicus Dave, and today I'm joined by Zach from Fantastic Dungeon Master over on TikTok.
How's it going?
How are you doing today? I'm doing great.
I'm doing real good. It's pretty awesome for the middle of the week, I gotta say.
Yeah. So tell us about D&D and TikTok.
It is baffling, truth be
Yeah.
told. I came to TikTok because I was just looking for mass consumption entertainment, and then all of a sudden, the For You page kept putting more and more D&D players and dungeon masters on there, and then I just rabbit holed into this huge community. It has been spectacular, and engaging with everybody over there has been just amazing. They're all super awesome and really jumping in to engage with each other's content and lift everybody up. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I've had various TikTokers on, and some of them are now like coming together, collabing, running Twitch stream games and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff going on over there. I feel like the demographics over there skew younger, female, and person of color. In addition to like other people as well. I mean, we've had Jeremiah on from Basics of the Game, who's like my age or older. And
Oh,
are you there? You
yeah.
froze a little
Sorry.
bit.
Yep. My internet decided to jump out on me for a moment.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really cool, and like my hope is always to see the game reach people
Absolutely.
that it's not reaching.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think with the like recent I guess the for lack of a better term, celebrity endorsement of fifth edition specifically, we're
Uh,
seeing a larger grouping of people, all ages, all backgrounds coming together for the game, which is great. And I think that TikTok does a really good job, um, really kind of showcasing that more so than other platforms, which is very cool.
so we got our first question already.
Fantastic.
I'll let you field this one. I'll wait, and then I can weigh in. Sean Johnson wants to know. It's a generic D&D question.
Right on.
As a barbarian zealot, your life should be marked by endless battle, which is defined by being able to be resurrected to life, but not undeath. What is the difference between life and undeath?
So a soft question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Difference between life and undeath. Well, I guess the short answer for that is passion. In especially the life of a barbarian, which is rage filled and driven by this just unending passion for battle. If one is alive, then that exists in the fiery temperament of rage. Undeath allows for zealot barbarians to continue fighting, but perhaps the passion has been replaced by autonomous rage.
Yeah, it's just like simple biological functions, right? They're not there anymore. If
Yeah.
if you're living in undeath, you are
Mhm.
technically not alive anymore.
Right, right.
You don't have any of those biological functions, and I don't know. Your body might be suffused with necromantic and negative energies.
That does tend to cause some problems once in a while.
Yeah, well, the game's changed a lot. Like how, like I don't know. I don't think there's like a negative and positive plane anymore, which was still around
Yeah.
in third edition. But
Oh
they
yeah.
like tended to fuel your undead.
hmm There was definitely a lot more of a evil stigmatism attached to undeath earlier on. I
Well,
think
I think there still is. Players don't want there to be, but
yeah,
like if you look at the raw of the game,
sure,
like
sure.
I mean, if the alignment means system means anything, which I don't put a lot of stock in it anymore. But
Right. Yeah.
if you look at all the undead, you're going to be hard pressed to find ones that aren't evil. There is a couple,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
most of them are evil. I thought when they came out with the Ebron books, I'm like, you know what, Ebron, Karnathi, they use
Right, right.
skeletons and zombies all the time. They're going to go back to being unaligned, and I think
Mhm.
at some point they were unaligned,
I think
but
so, but
but they're
I think
not in fifth edition. They're evil.
no. Yeah. Yeah, I think with fourth edition's establishment of the unaligned gray area, we
Yeah.
got to see a lot of neutrality happen with it. The same treatment with blackguards and paladins. You could be an unaligned paladin in fourth edition, which I think has bled over to fifth edition a bit, but that was a big no in earlier editions. So
Yeah, it was just lawful stupid, and that's it.
right, yeah, which is fun to a point.
Yeah. So, what kind of content do you like making over on TikTok?
The content that I love making the most are uh, questions and other ways to engage with other DMs out there, like prompts to be like, "Hey, this is an interesting thought that I had. What do you think about it?" Like I made a video the other day about interesting magic, like homebrew elements you can put into the world. Like the example that I gave was I like to do simultaneous spell casting. So if like two spellcasters have access to the same spell and
Mm.
one of them delays their action or calls the action to happen at the same time as the other, you get huge like world-ending spell effects out of that. Like if it's a like super big fireball, then that's fun. But the one that's my favorite is time stop multicast, so that the whole party gets to just run around and uh, enjoy the perks of all of the time that they have from the spell. So asking the question out there to the dungeon masters, what fun new homebrew elements they bring in, has really yielded some cool stuff that I'm totally going to steal from my game.
Nice.
That's the best resource I think so far that TikTok has been really good with their like mentions and video responses is everybody just pulling their resources and collaborating over some super awesome ideas, which is it's just absolutely fantastic to witness.
So, how do you handle simultaneous casting in your game? Uh,
So yeah, go. Sorry.
for example, if both casters are like, we're going to cast Fireball at the same time, what does that
Yes.
mean?
So a lot of it also has to do with uh, a role that used to be a Arcana check back in earlier editions, which I guess Arcana is more of a knowledge-based skill in
Mhm.
fifth edition, but I tend to use that to determine the magnitude of that happening, unless, of course, the players are saying, "Hey, we want to both cast Fireball at the same time to execute this specific result," which I do have some players that are really super. All of my players are great. You're all great, but there are some that are super tactically minded and
Mhm.
have come up with these really cool ways of handling that. But yeah, otherwise, I would say if they don't offer an explanation, just like a "Hey, we want to both be Kona Colding," then depending on the context of the situation, I'll come up with a like cool feature for that to happen. So there are some spells that have predetermined things, like the time stop, where I have
Mhm.
it. So if more than one caster uses it, it just offers the maximum amount of time possible, and then the whole party gets to act in it. So otherwise, I absolutely subscribe to the rule of cool, because that really just yields some awesome moments.
So, clarification for
Yeah.
Sean. What Zach's saying is if a player delays their action,
Mhm.
basically would use their reaction to, oh, when Bob the Wizard cast Fireball, I am also casting at the same time, and they try and sync up. So, do you
Yeah.
always require Arcana check for that?
No, I think, like I said, if they have a specific result in
Mm.
mind, if it's not too like outlandish, then we'll roll with that. Absolutely. Otherwise, uh, to kind of offer a hint, perhaps, of like ways that they could manipulate this, an Arcana check might yield like, "Hey, if you were to share a space for a moment and do that, this would maximize the blast," or whatnot. Basically, like a magical secrets kind of check. Um, so it's conditional.
I say I like stuff like that, but I also like the idea of making them make an Arcana check, and like maybe the DC for them to sync up their spells is like 10 plus the level or something, and
Right,
if they
right.
do, they're gonna get an extra effect for
Exactly.
doing it. Maybe if they fail by a certain amount, they just cast both their spells normal.
Yeah.
But then if they both roll really badly, something bad could happen.
Oh yeah.
So
And the other element of that is yes, the players have the ability to
Yeah.
simultaneously cast spells, but because that option exists, that means I can use it too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily about uh, being an adversary to my players, but if
Yeah.
conditions allow for it, I'm gonna have some fun too.
Yeah, like I guess like if they're in an encounter, and they do that, and that encounter involves two other spellcasters, and they see them do that, I go, that was great. We can do that too now.
Exactly. Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the weirdest combination you've seen?
Oh man. Okay. The weirdest combination has been. Oh God, this happened somewhat recently. Let's see. Um, the coolest combination that I have seen so far has been simultaneous haste casting,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden it was like a lower level version of that time stop spell, because all of a sudden everybody's got to be able to move much faster and
Yeah.
get all those actions, and it really helps in situations where it's like overwhelming odds encounters. Um, where it feels like they have to be tactical to be able to get out of situations. So if they come up with these really cool, like, hey, look what else is on my spell list, um, then you wanna give them a leg up to be able to get out of those situations. Uh, I love creating scenarios using the fourth edition mechanic of minions, where
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just so many bad guys, and then that like super fireball is pretty great. Or hey, let's haste everyone.
I'm a little disappointed Minions didn't make it in the 5e.
Yeah, I was surprised that that rule didn't carry over. It
Um,
certainly did at my table, but
yeah, yes, we do the
yeah,
same thing, and it's not a big deal if you played fourth. I guess I just
yeah,
feel bad for the 5e players that don't know about minions,
yeah,
and like if you just want to do this epic thing and make your characters feel really cool,
exactly.
it's a lot of fun. When you start talking about it, like as my brain starts going and thinking of combinations like blade barrier and
Ooh,
wall of fire, right? I'm like, oh, a circle, flaming tongues.
oh
Although
man,
we've
yeah.
seen a lot of things happen, bad things happen in our games with blade barriers. Um, we had one character that would use it a lot,
Yeah.
and then they after a couple times they've removed it from their spell list because Ted kept having the monsters grab the caster and put them in their own blade barrier.
Oh no. Was from a like player perspective, that's phenomenal. But as a
Yeah.
DM, just like, oh, the headaches.
Yeah.
That's
So they
it
self
got banned.
banned themselves from it.
Well, that's good. Self-policing is important.
Yeah, yeah. And the DM is like, "Oh shucks,
Yeah.
I was really
Oh
enjoying
man.
making grinding your face, cheese grating your face with this spell of yours."
Exactly. With your own magic.
Yeah,
Make
yeah.
people counterspell your own counterspell.
Um, what is the most popular tic tac talk that you've done? Tic tac, not tic tac, tic tac.
Tic tac, patty pack. I would say there is a pretty even spread as far as viewer engagement with a lot of my stuff. I think that um, probably the most popular one was asking just the simple question of, "Hey, tell me about your character,"
Oh yeah,
because
I bet.
especially in the pandemic scenario that we're in, because there's a lot less FaceTime of like getting to hang out at your brick and mortar and just chatting about D&D. Uh, everybody loves to talk about their characters. Absolutely. Like I could just go on for hours and everybody around me would just beg me. Recent years, I've had the opportunity to play a lot more frequently. But there was a pretty large stretch there that I was running games more. Like I had the good fortune of having at one point like 6 games happening in a week. And I ran about 4 of them and got to play in 2. So at least I consistently got to stretch those muscles a
Yeah.
little bit. But I definitely am a like self-inflicted forever DM because I just love storytelling. Um, So I keep putting myself in that corner.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Liking what you like, and
absolutely.
many groups would love to have that GM that wants to be forever the GM.
Yeah, I mean, I do love playing occasionally too, and it is nice to not have to put those gloves on, um, because it is also fun to tell the story from the other side of the table.
Uh, so are you a heavy prep gym or improv GM or improv GM?
I have gone through phases. I would say now I'm definitely much more of an improv GM because just the shenanigans that my players come up with
Yeah,
uh, is so voluminous that I really have to just be on my toes all the time. So it's really changed my perspective on that. But before, I would spend hours and hours every week writing down all these scenarios and like trying to come up with like choose your own adventure style. Like, well, here are the different trees
yeah, yeah,
that could happen based on the scenario. Um, and there's a lot to be said about being super prepared for everything. Let me tell you, especially if you're like starting a new game with a bunch of new players. It's nice to be able to have like a uh, out of the box adventure for them. Um, but being able, I guess I've done theater for a couple of decades, so it has really helped to have the improv muscle there to be able to just kind of tear the piece of paper up and close the monster manual and just roll with the punches.
yeah. I mean, your players are gonna do that to you anyway.
Exactly.
I feel like the progression you spoke of, many of us go through,
Mhm.
where you've just had players that go off the rails. You don't use most of your material, and you're like, "Why am I doing this for
Yeah.
hours?" I find I went from doing that to like I would write full blown modules, essentially
Oh
flavor
yeah.
text and all
Mhm.
that stuff to then I went to flowcharts and it's like circles with
Exactly.
words in them and like lines between them and branches and to like maybe I just write down a couple sentences and come up with at least one encounter to throw
Right.
at them in the session.
Yeah.
um but I think I actually do feel like using mind maps or flowcharts
Yeah.
is like the great in between actually preparing material and total improv.
That's absolutely where I find myself these days, where I'll have an idea of where I want the session to go, maybe, and it
Yeah,
turned into like, hey, here's 6 bullet points for the next 5 hours, as opposed to uh, where I used to be, which was like, let me write out every speech that the villain is going to say. Let me, plan every encounter specifically and hope that the players uh, don't bring any hordes of NPC hirelings with them or
yeah.
something
You
like
never, or they figure out how to gather all the cats from the town and
that.
send them into the kobold warren ahead of them to either trigger the traps or kill the kobolds
Yes,
because
yeah.
everyone knows cats hate kobolds. Um,
Never underestimate the power of players to be able to create a spontaneous village militia out of
Also,
farmers.
too, like you came from third edition, right?
Oh yeah.
So in third edition, the running joke was cats were a 1/4 CR, kobolds were 1/6. You
Yeah.
just needed enough cats, and you could defeat all the kobolds.
Yeah.
I mean, mathematically, anyway.
Right, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's great.
And folks, for anybody that has questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Just put question before it so I can pick them out easier.
Yeah.
Um, so how long have you been using TikTok as a platform now?
I have. It's been super recent for me. I downloaded the app at the beginning of the whole mess of things,
Yeah,
mostly as a form of entertainment. But it was just at the beginning of January that I decided to start flooding TikTok with my own content.
oh, you've been growing pretty fast then.
Yeah, yeah. I again like the engagement level of this community on TikTok is just spectacular, and everybody's been awesome about interacting with my content, and it's caused my following to explode in the past
Yeah.
couple of weeks, which is amazing, and I just feel so fortunate.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. Like I spend like probably too much time on TikTok now.
Oh yeah.
On my for you page, seeing what's coming up. It's like one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh
I feel like
yeah.
I'm way too old to be over there.
That's how I felt at first, definitely. Yeah, the volume of initial, I think, content when you just download the app, they tend to stick to whatever is trending, which is certainly an audience that makes me feel ancient.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. So,
but there is definitely an audience out there for people our age.
oh yeah, I
Who,
mean, definitely, there's stuff over there for everybody.
yeah.
So Brian Smith wants to know, I'm at Taco Bell. What should I order? Gorditos are awesome, but you should try and get that Chihuahua from the commercial.
Yeah, exactly. His location based. He might not be at every
Oh yeah,
register,
yeah.
but
They have clones of them everywhere.
ask them about their volcano burritos. I don't think they make them anymore, but back in college, that's all I ever ate.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were
My
like
body hates me for it.
bright red.
Oh yeah, it's delicious and such a bad idea, but live on the edge.
I feel like that's all Taco Bell is, just a
Right?
pile of bad ideas that taste delicious.
Yes, that is the perfect description. Plus Baja Blast, which is unmatched.
Bam. Yeah, I always like when they combine one thing with another thing.
Yes. It's like this should not be scientifically possible, but I would like 3 more, please.
Yeah. Oh no, Brian's like that Chihuahua is definitely dead. No, I mean I guess it's been a long time since those commercials came out.
Right, yeah.
That's why they need. That's why we need cloning technology. It will never truly
Specifically,
die.
yeah, specifically for the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Yes, there's no better use for the technology. So when you are a player, what are your
Yeah.
preferences? What kind of characters you like to play?
Oh man. Okay. I have had, I guess, a couple of decades of being able to play has let me really play everything in the books and out of the books in some cases. I tend to prefer, and this is not just for D&D, for other systems too. I love classes that force you to kind of think outside the box. So in earlier editions, this meant I loved playing bards because third edition bards meant that you had a problem, and
Yeah.
it was a challenge to play. And of course, with fourth edition and fifth edition as well, bards have become like absolute mainstream, and I super love that. But the idea behind like back with the Star Wars Saga edition, their noble class and other situations that because I am a big fan of the role playing and the skills aspect of D&D as opposed to combat. I love me a good combat, but I definitely, charisma has never been a dump stat for my characters. I will say that. I
So
love
you like
trying to talk
charisma
about that.
characters?
Yeah, I love charisma characters, which one of my favorite characters I ever played actually started life as a rogue. And then because we happened to play during fourth edition, my party got to be faulted with the spell plague. And I was able to change my rogue into a sorcerer because of
Oh, nice.
a long-winded backstory. But sorcerers, especially in fourth edition, they like absolutely came to life. It's so much fun to be able to just hurl lots of magic at people. Um, but yeah, so bards and sorcerers are my top two. And now with fifth edition, warlocks have joined that team too.
Nice. What is he like about the warlock?
I love the relationship between the patron and warlock. I especially as a player, I really like the uh, levels of difficulty between like what the patron wants and what you want as a character. I tend to play warlocks in a way that is like almost always like adverse to the patron that I choose, because I like the ones that are like the fiend and the great old
Mhm.
one and other like super villain patrons, as opposed to like a fey patron or a celestial, which could be a positive influence. uh, I like the idea of working against the grain, but also I guess as a DM, as much as I am, when I am a player, I tend to kind of hard mode D&D myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me just make this as much of a challenge as possible, because then it'll be super interesting.
I have to say, I guess I've been playing fifth edition for like 6.5 years now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't think I've had a regular campaign where someone played a warlock yet to really like kind of delve into that, that patron warlock
Relationship.
relationship.
Yeah. It's it's wild.
Yeah. The trick with that is figuring out how to do it in a way that doesn't take too much from the rest of the table.
That's absolutely right. Actually, there was a video I made recently about it, that someone was asking how to. Of course, my mind has just gone blank. Thank you very much. They were talking about how to deal with that patron and player relationship with a player that was less inclined to be engaged at the table.
Mm,
So, like, using the patron to be like, "Hey, why don't you try this?" as kind of a like Gandalf esque like tutorial patron, which is an interesting way of bringing new players into it. Like, "Hey, let's have you try this out, because I'm the guy who gives you your powers, and you should listen to what I have to say." But yeah, there's an element of like, how far are you willing to go as a DM to continue to do that? Because handholding is fine, but then you don't want to take away from that player's own experience, or
yeah.
of course the rest of the table, because trying to find the balance of like everybody getting to play, or everybody being a party member of the single player warlock story, is kind of a hard line to find.
Yeah, you really need buy-in from the other players on that and them
Right,
be
right.
okay with it. Or
Mhm.
figuring out how to build that connective tissue so it matters to the rest of them as well.
Right.
I really want to play like a celestial warlock that's an Azamar,
Okay.
because like the Azamar has that like age-old guide that they're supposed to kind of have anyway, and just make that your patron.
Oh,
But
I like
now,
that.
like talking to you, I kind of want to do it the same way you do it, except for like that's the good guy, the patron, and I'm the asshole.
I love that, turning it on its head. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we just want you to be nice and be friendly to people. Yeah, but you gave me Eldritch Blast, so no.
Yeah, so right in somebody's
Yeah,
face.
we're gonna go rob this orphanage, and you can go and feed the hungry. That
You
sounds
gave
great.
me Eldritch Blast and like
Yeah,
two spell slots. Like,
right. Yeah,
guess what? I'm gonna do two nice things today, and then I'm out of spells, and then everybody else gets Eldritch Blast. All right.
exactly.
I love it. William wants to know. I was wondering what your thought of this character idea: a goat who found a sentient evil sword. Sounds like a hexblade.
Yeah,
They're fighting for control of the goat's body. The goat is winning. How does a goat wield a sword?
carefully. The Adventures of Billy Goat Gruff.
Yeah, yeah, it's essentially what it is. So there's a tabletop game. I don't know if you're into tabletop games or not, but
Oh yeah.
it's called Gruff.
Mhm.
And basically what the shepherds have realized in this world is that gruffs defeat trolls, gruffs being goats.
Yeah.
So clearly it is one of the most powerful creatures there is. So they begin weaponizing them. And there's
Weaponized
like
goats.
different factions, like the mad scientist, the Cthulhu, the necromancer, right? And you're just fighting each other with your gruffs.
I have to
And
find this game. That sounds
yeah,
fantastic.
and it turns out, like, as the lore is like unraveling,
Yeah.
the trolls were actually the heroes, and they were like protecting portals and stuff.
Oh,
But now
I
the
love
trolls
that.
are near extinct because they've been killed by the gruffs.
By the grub. What? First of all, that this game sounds fantastic. But secondly, the idea, I love the idea of like the trolls being the heroes. It's always
Yeah,
super interesting to kind of have that twist in stories where you're like, yes, there are a few camps of goblins in the area, and heroes should go and kill the goblins. but they never tell you about like the women and children and like the farms that you're destroying. And sometimes maybe the heroes are not the good guys.
Yeah, they leave that stuff out
Yeah.
a lot of times. There's a novel series where this character has the ability to go into books.
Ooh.
And then they like begin trying to like fix like all those casualties of that happen around the story that we never talk about.
Yeah, all the stuff that happens off the page.
Yeah, but then there's like into the book police that like you can't do this. So
that sounds cool.
Alana Black is the main character.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of those novels. God. Danny Bell is the author, and I've really enjoyed those novels. I have a peanut brain with not a lot of RAM, so I can't remember the rest of the details.
I understand that struggle. There's only so much space in here.
Sigh. Brian wants to know how much of D&D's difficulty is chosen by the players as suboptimal build, for example, versus the challenge the DM presents.
That is a great question. I think that I get the idea of suboptimal builds. I'm less inclined to say that exists so much in fifth edition because they have done such a good job in kind of balancing the threat levels of the monsters and the player characters. So it's a little easier in this edition to make those like story choices of like I had a druid character that I had played a few years ago that had 4 wisdom. Which was not 4 wisdom, 4 charisma.
Yeah, it sounds better. Like in some editions, you couldn't even play a druid at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 4 charisma, which for me was an interesting challenge because
you're just a guy in brown robes. You couldn't cast any.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. Yeah, but the idea of just such a huge handicap is an interesting story element. But I think in 5th edition, it's a little harder for that to be a massive challenge. Yes, it does provide a challenge, but I think in the case of like D&D's difficulty level, it's really on the shoulders of the DM to be able to establish that or adjust it as they go. Because it's easy enough to change encounter sizes and threat level behind the screen. Especially the more frequently you play the game, the easier it would be to just kind of make monster stat adjustments on the fly. But yeah, I think there is definitely an element of players being not at fault, but being involved in the difficulty level. But
I mean, yeah, if kind of like throughout all the editions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of been the case, right? Because players have always been able to just make bad decisions. So
yep,
it's just kind of part of the game.
Yeah.
So Empty Threat is the first book and novel of the Black Pages. For anyone that's interested.
Black Pages, awesome.
And then Ted chimed in. Studio Woe is the name of the company that makes the rough game.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, we've had Brent on here a few times and talked to him. And also, I was trying to think of the name of his company as well because I love the name.
Studio Woe.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
we did a video where we kind of like D&Di's that game a little bit,
Sweet.
And what that campaign might look like, and what the shepherds might be as a character class. So. I don't know.
That sounds like a blast and a half. Absolutely.
It sure is. So what is your style for GMing?
That is also something that's really changed recently. Not necessarily for the better. I was always a fan more of like the storytelling aspect of it. So I was not super threatening as a dungeon master. Like, there are consequences, but like I really hated the idea of TPKs and killing off player characters. But I got to a point where if
my life took a dark turn,
right, is the the video that Matt Colville made a few years ago talking about the earth elemental steps on your head to make sure you're dead.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I have that shirt.
it's a great shirt. But the concept of that was like, okay, well, the monsters in your world, if they are straight up like bestial monsters, maybe they're not going to have the insight for that. But like, if you're fighting a bunch of stone giants and making stupid choices, uh,
I
and
argue it's the other way around with beasts.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
Because like with
they
beasts, they like
target
try,
to finish the threat. Yeah.
they well, no, not even that. Like once they down someone, in my mind, they try to flee with them because they want
Oh,
to take their meal and
sure.
go. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they want to A, survive, and B, have a snack. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
I'll take this
Yeah,
halfling to go.
right. Yeah, but like the concept of like uh intelligent villain design where they're thinking
Yeah,
is two sides to that coin. Oh, this is not going well for me. I need to leave is always a good thing. But also the concept of, hey, you're the cleric that keeps bringing all of your party members back up to life, and you're unconscious now. Let's double tap and make sure that doesn't happen again. And the first time I did that with the group that I've been playing with for just the past couple of years now, I just got a whole bunch of deer in headlights of like,
oh yeah.
you did what?
Ted hates this conversation because he likes to play clerics,
Oh
and
yeah.
like, and like, there was an encounter where they were fighting this undead myconid that regenerated unless you hit it with radiant damage.
Oh
He
yeah.
kept hitting it with radiant damage. So once it downed him, it stomped on his head.
Yeah, let's stop that right now.
Yeah, giving him 2 failed death saves. I didn't do like 3 failed automatic. I just did 2, right?
Yeah, just the 2. Yeah,
Just the
so
double
give
tap.
some chance and hope that they
I've
don't
also played, and I've also had another cleric in the game that brought up like 2 players in like 2 rounds back to back.
Oh my god!
Got them back on their feet, and the monsters was just like, "Fuck this guy!"
Yeah.
And then they all attacked the cleric
Exactly.
and dropped the cleric.
Let's solve this problem. This is not okay. Exactly. Yeah. So I guess I have become not more adversarial, but more in the camp of like, okay, if you're going to continue to make those decisions, I'm going to take off those gloves and not be as gingerly dealing with the situation, which I kind of don't like that I've started doing that now. So I feel like I need to kind of revisit my roots in that regard. But once in a while, you gotta just step on the head, make sure they're dead.
Well, I think it's kind of a good thing to do. And honestly, if you do it a couple times, you won't have to do it as often.
Right.
Because the players will be like, "Oh, I don't want to ignore the down player because like they're only a couple death saves away from being out of the game."
Right.
And I know my GM occasionally will attack the down player.
Exactly.
We played in a game with Esper the Bard.
Oh,
and
yeah?
after you got dropped, all of his NPCs just finish you off.
Yeah. Just like, nope.
Like it wasn't even like double tap. No, they just straight up murder you.
Dead means dead, buddy.
Yeah. If now, to be fair, like that only happened if there were no other threats around or close.
Mm-hmm.
But if you went down, that was it. No death saves. You weren't going to get around the death saves. Let's just say.
I just you mentioned the death saves, and that reminded me of a video that I saw. I can't remember the name of the creator. Otherwise, I would credit them for this because it was a fantastic idea.
Was it what platform?
On TikTok.
So just watch all of the D&D TikTok and you'll find this video.
That's right. You just consume the entire But they were talking about, which I'm sure this has definitely been the case at other tables as well, removing the player agency of the death saves and giving that to the DM behind the counter, which there's definitely some controversy in that regard. But the idea being,
you don't know.
If you don't know. It's death could be death. It's not necessarily like, oh, I got 1 success, but it could be 2 or 3 rounds that I'll still be able to come and save you. And I guess the realism and the reality of like,
I've heard of other players doing that.
Yeah, the idea that like, hey, you don't know where they are standing as far as death or not, so maybe you should be a hero and save your friend. But so I understand both sides of the coin because it also takes away your control of being able to do the role yourself, which is important. But it's an interesting.
It builds tension at the table too. Sometimes,
exactly.
like both ways. I feel like
Mhm.
Like if you roll and you roll a one and you're like, oh, or if you have one failed death save, like, I got two more technically, but also
Yeah, if you
there's
roll
the
that natural
possibility you
one.
roll a one.
Yeah,
Because that's happened in
exactly.
our games. That's how
Oh
we had
yeah.
our first death.
Oh no. A natural one on death save. That's a sad way to go.
Yeah, that was early on. It was like we were like first or second level, and we fought. It was the DMG, or only the player's handbook was out.
Mhm.
So Ted just had the monsters in the back of the player's handbook,
Oh yeah.
and he's like, they should be able to handle four orcs and four imps, but they weren't actually even imps. They were like modified scorpions because they were in the back of the book or whatever, like the weakest
Yeah.
version of whatever. Um, and and we did handle the encounter okay, but then one of the
Sure.
characters went down, failed a death save. Then another character failed the medicine check,
Oh
and then they rolled a
no.
one, and
Yeah.
then he was just dead.
Yeah. It was, well, like early enough, I guess. Roll someone else out.
So I don't know if this would be the middle ground for people that are of that's taking away the player's agency, but um, lead designer Mike Gould from Out of the Box, what he'll do is he'll hold up a dice tray above eye level and let them roll. So it is
Oh, okay.
technically their roll, but they don't get to see it
I like
for
that. That's
for
a good.
different checks.
Yeah. That's the. I think that's the best way to do it because then you're not taking that away from them. But
So do you roll behind the screen or in front of the screen?
I tend to roll behind the screen because again, as the type of DM that I was before, where it was more about like the story that we tell together, as opposed to like raw D&D. The concept of being able to be like, oh, I don't want that to be a critical hit against you, means that the screen helps take that away. I also do love the concept of just rolling in as the dice lay kind of
Mm.
situation. So when I do like one shots and whatnot, I tend to take that the screen down for that because I know that there's not anything that's going to be um, compounding from it. So it's okay if someone rolls 3 natural 20s in a row and kills your main boss in the first round. But
So Brian says when we have a down player, we do the death saves in secret. Med checks reveal where they're at.
oh,
So
that's a cool way of doing it. Sure.
yeah, also that makes me. I think it was Goblin Katie on Twitter and
Mhm.
D4 streams. I think was it might not. Maybe it wasn't. But I'm probably misquoting the person. But when they do their death saves, they keep it secret. They only tell the DM.
Oh, that's also good. I
Yeah, so
like
like they
so
know, but the
yeah.
rest of them don't know.
But the
Yeah,
rest of the party has to figure out the hard way. I like
yeah,
that. And the prospect of whispered rolls and a lot of the virtual tabletops like
makes that
Roll20 and whatnot,
kind of easy.
that really works out really, really well. Definitely. It's easier than uh, rolling the die, writing it on a piece of paper, and throwing it across the table, which is
How
definitely
we
something
used to
that my
do it.
early groups, yep,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly, make those paper airplanes and hope that they don't weave into other players instead.
No, no, that is such a thing
Yeah,
that we used to do in the old days.
exactly,
Passing
exactly.
the notes, and everybody's like, "What's going on? What are they
What are you
doing?"
doing? Yeah. Why are you rolling your die? What's up with that?
Yeah, or the clandestine meetings between you and the GM.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, talk amongst yourselves. I got to talk to you in the other room. Yep.
Yeah, that's the good old days.
Oh yes.
So how
Back
is
in the day.
so how's your gaming been since the apocalypse began?
It has actually been pretty great. And it's definitely reduced in like volume. Like before the quarantine set in, I was playing like 6 games a week, which was I
Yeah,
was in absolute D&D heaven. And just because quarantine restrictions get in the way, people have to change their work schedules and whatnot. A lot of that died out. But I've been really fortunate to be able to have a consistent game in virtual on a virtual table, and then recently in the last month or so, I've had a game resume at the table while everybody's sitting on opposite sides of a shed, um, weather permitting, because you know New England and the snow.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little beforehand before we got started, but our community has been kind of geared up and ready for this
Exactly.
for a while. I feel like.
I was born for this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I am a bit of a recluse anyways. So when they were like, "Hey, you shouldn't go out your house," I was like, what else is new? All right.
Well, it's funny because we have the stalkerware for our family installed on our phones.
Oh yeah.
And it's like my family always thinks it's glitching
because nobody goes
if I leave the house, if I go someplace.
Wait, is something wrong?
Yeah.
That's great.
Raya from the D4s, that is the person that does that.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, like I always want to call her Kayla for some reason, which is the name of my daughter. Trying to get this information out of my brain.
Yeah, gotta make room for some more stuff.
Yeah. I need an external to plug into my brain that I can access because it just doesn't store as much as it used to.
Yeah, just put most of my gaming knowledge in a spell jamming terminal. I think that would be great.
Yeah, well, that's mostly what I remember.
Right? Just
like people and places and real life stuff, not so much.
No. But D&D,
yeah,
that's what's important.
So, of the games that you're playing now, how many of them are you running?
Just 1 and 1 at the moment. I'm running one of them, and I get to play in the other one. And the group that is happening online, we're kind of slow crawling through all of the modules that 5th edition has published so far. So it's cool to be able to play through those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many of you played through so far?
We've done 3 so far in the past handful of years. Our Tyranny of Dragons experience was like 6 sessions long before our second total party kill made us decide that maybe we'll come back to that. And now that WotC has come out with the like revised version, I think we'll probably hit that one up again. But otherwise, we started with that one. We did a Princess of Apocalypse run with a party of all druids, which was great for us. And my poor dungeon master had such a headache all the time.
Oh yeah. What do you remember what circles?
Yeah, so we had I got to play Moon, which was absolutely.
So you're the tank.
Yeah, I got to tank. Then we had Shepherd, Dreams, and Land as well. So we kind of hit all of the
So you got extra healing in there,
exactly,
extra castery in there, and then Shepherd is just like, oh, let's have more monsters to throw at the DM.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah. My poor dungeon master had to, at one point he had an encounter with like over 50 monsters in it because
did you guys all summon wolves?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've been a bit about this the other day. It's like all of us, he had come up with a encounter just to kind of gauge where we were like party strength wise at like 3rd or 4th level. So it was like 3 hill giants that stumbled upon a caravan, and hill giants are beefy, and so we were all kind of concerned about it going into it. But then everybody summoned like 8 wolves, and then all became wolves themselves. And 2 words for you:
pack tactics.
Yeah. But
that's a lot of D20s getting dropped.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the benefit, I guess, of the virtual tabletop that we were playing over helped organize that a little bit more, because having to switch between all of the different monster stat blocks and the wolves back and forth.
So 36 wolves.
Yeah, like 36 wolves against, I think there were like 10 or 12 other monsters in the encounter at the end of the day, because it was the hill giants and a few other things, because he was like, oh, this was only a few rounds long. let's see where else we're going with this. Yeah, just the most massive. Yeah, so that was an absolute blast to go through that. And then we've been playing for about a year or so through Storm King's Thunder, which is just great. I love that story. And one of the players is a Rune Knight also, which just thematically is perfect for all the giants. And it's just like they did such a good job with the Rune Knight subclass, man. It's just so cool.
We do a series where we do the all party all class, single class party,
Yeah.
and like kind of build that out. And I think Druid and Paladin are like the two easiest classes to do that with.
Nothing is safe.
Yeah, I mean, Cleric's not bad, but I still feel like Paladin and Druid are better.
Oh yeah,
because you just cover so many more of the bases.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just had, in fact, with the Storm King's Thunder, a total party wipe in a random encounter, which was sad, but it we were close enough to the final chapter that we decided to just roll like prisoners that were on this boat that we had just died on. So we decided, well, let's all be bards and just be a band with our sea shanties aplenty. And this is gonna be so hard.
Yeah.
A bunch of soft bards trying to fight giants. But,
although, I mean, bards are full casters, so giants have minds. So
exactly. Yeah, and like literally the session we started with that was just hilarious because in the first round, everybody was like, hey, you get inspiration, you get inspiration, you get inspiration. The DM was like, oh God, here we go.
Everyone's got inspiration. Oh, and now we're going to charm your monsters.
Like all the time. Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And the Lord Bard is going to be cutting wordsing them, so.
Exactly.
So somebody's found that save. Yeah, Ted has flashbacks about the Bard in the one game that we played that went all the way to 20th level, so.
Yeah.
By the end, the character was super strong. It's like,
oh yeah,
I need to use things that don't have minds. Yeah. And then he would, and then Lucky would like open his trench coat and it's just lined with a bunch of knives, and then he would cast animate object.
Oh God, yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So Brian's got a question. I got a session coming up, and playing a drow from Eberron who practices binding fire elemental to his gear. Any ideas for how to RP this dude? I'm trying to do something other than Pyro Guy. I mean, you're kind of set up for Pyro Guy.
Yeah, it's on the table, definitely.
So, yeah, unless you can like maybe go into more of a spiritual aspect of it so that you're not the Pyro Guy and like what fire means to you, and maybe really focus on things like renewal and rebirth, and cleansing,
destruction, right?
Yeah. Might be a different way to do it. Maybe absolutely. Be like a bit of a philosopher.
And that would also help kind of step away from the stereotypical drow as written as well.
Well, they're a little bit different in Eberron.
Eberron does a different. Yeah, I haven't had too much experience in
they have like two main factions on Xandric, I think, and some of them like worship and I think they worship like fire elementals and stuff, and the other ones are just replace Loth with Scorpion God and Scorpions.
Scorpion God. Yeah,
which isn't really that much different, although they look kind of cool.
Although if they worship fire elementals in that one faction, there you go.
Yeah. Well, they do, and they
spiritual,
and that's why he's probably talking about binding fire elementals to gear, because they do that.
Yeah.
And I remember flying things because of that for some reason. I think well, part of it too was like in their past they were enslaved by giants, and giants, giant magic was like a big thing in Eberron.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it. Yeah, my dude is a Solitar, Servants of the Giants, and Bind Fire. Yeah, it's what I vaguely remember from when I was reading a lot of like Eberron stuff.
Yes,
but that was like during 3rd edition.
Right. Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's been a minute for sure.
Although I one of the things I advocate for heavily when it comes to people's response to 4th edition is the campaign setting books they released for that game are spectacular. I thought they did a really good job with the Forgotten Realms treatment. Their Eberron book is super, super good. 4th edition Dark Sun is some of the greatest stuff that WotC has come out with in the past decade.
Also, they introduced Dragon Boobs, and apparently Dragon Boobs are making a comeback on Twitter right now. with very mixed emotions on how people feel about
Oh yeah.
dragon boobs. Early on, when we would talk about Dragonborn a lot. I'd break Ted's stones
Yeah.
because he really likes Dragonborn, and
Sure.
they came at the very tail end of third,
Yeah. With the
and then in
Dragonkin and Dragonborn. Yeah.
yeah, and then in fourth they kind of changed, and then in fourth all the dragon art was female Dragonborns
Right.
had
Just all
boobs,
those
and I'm like,
scaly
this is
dragon boobs.
weird. This is so weird because they're not mammals.
Right. Yeah. How's that work? Never mind. Don't answer that.
Yeah. They hired a bunch of scallies to do the concept art. But I don't know what happened there. So I'd always break Ted's stones about dragon boobs, and that's the real reason why he loves Dragonborn.
Right. Yeah.
And it's even better. He's not here to defend himself right now. So.
Exactly.
Exactly, Taurus. Reptilians aren't mammals. They wouldn't have it. Although I guess I've also heard the argument dragons aren't reptiles, but whatever. They have scales. They lay eggs. Close enough for me.
Right. Yeah.
And since there are no real dragons around to dispute it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
How often do you post over on TikTok?
Well, because of the format of the like super short, like 15 to 60-second post capacity, I'd say probably no, it's not an everyday thing because it's just whenever I have a free moment or an idea. But there are sometimes I'll post like 4 or 5 times a day. I try to do like 5 times a week just because I want to continue to be engaged with the community.
Yeah.
I don't want them to leave me behind.
I feel like some of the creators get a little addicted to it as well.
Oh
as
yeah,
like
100%.
Posting.
Yeah, there are some days where I'll be like, oh, I have like 5 or 6 ideas for like 15 to 20-second videos, and I want to respond to all these people's comments. And I'm just like, okay, I need to sit down and breathe.
And do life stuff too.
Yeah, right.
So do you shoot a lot of your content together and batch it and just like release it slowly? Or is it like, I got an idea, I'm doing the thing now?
Yeah, a little of both. Because there are moments in time where I'm like, all right, I've have my notes app of like 6 or 7 different ideas. I'm gonna go through those. But also there's definitely times where I'm out on my lunch break thinking, oh, I have an idea. Let's go take 15 seconds and throw it on the internet. That is a fantastic element of TikTok as a platform because it's such a fast upload speed, and there is a like watch down period that their bots and staff members do, but it seems to be a lot more abrupt in its release, which is nice.
And I'm surprised at like the different varying degrees of content that gets out there. Right? The amount of information people are able to cram in 60 seconds is very impressive. Like, I mean, if you've watched me and Ted talk and do videos, like we can't say anything in under like 20 minutes nowadays. It seems like.
Right. Yeah, no, it's especially with the videos that are like the 60-second ones. There are so many takes I have to do to try and just cram all of the things in. Like, oh, hang on. A lot of my stuff is like super jump cutty because I'm trying to get like a thought out as fast as possible, but I trip over myself for the next one, so I push them all together. But
and then there's just like a lot of fun, like entertainment style videos where it's not so much about learning stuff. You're just good old fashioned mindless entertainment.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Just once in a while, it's like songs from Lord of the Rings or the Firefly theme pop into my head. And there are so many brown coats out there. It's so nice to just sing the song and have it.
We're everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
We're still waiting for our next season.
Yes, I had heard a rumor that Netflix was going to throw money at it, and I really hope that's not just a rumor.
That would definitely be cool.
Yes.
I probably haven't mentioned it yet, but as always, in the description, you can find a link to check Zach out over on TikTok and hang out with him. Do you have any TikTokers that you like to follow or you would recommend?
There are so many. It's hard to remember specific usernames. So if I interact with you a whole bunch and I'm not calling you out, I am so sorry. But yeah, just literally just search in the search tag D&D TikTok or D&D 5e or whatever your fancy is. There are hundreds and thousands of people out there with all just super great ideas, lots of really entertaining content. If you haven't already, join in on that community because it's just super fun. Even if you just want to scroll through and have the For You page put a whole bunch of stuff in front of you just to look at, that's fine too. It's great.
And I feel like that's why it's easy to not like know specific creators, because it's like
Yeah,
you know their faces and you're like, oh, it's this person, I really like this person.
exactly,
But
exactly.
but it's just because like they're just these quick hits, and then
Mhm.
you're gonna see them as you interact with it and it gets recommended to you, but you might not like memorize the username or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Especially like for me on social media, I am not very judicious with my follows and likes and stuff like that. Where some people are very, very precious with them. So, I lose track quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like I could watch half a video and be like, I like that, subscribe. And I may never go back again,
Right.
but we'll get comments of someone, I've been following you for 3 months and I finally decided to subscribe. I'm like, cool, thanks.
Yay, that's good. Yes.
Yeah. So we were just past the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out.
I just oh god, no. I would say that like I said a moment ago, if you haven't already, go download the TikTok app and just jump into D&D content. There's so much of it out there. It's so much fun to listen to. There's a lot of user overlap with YouTube as well as Instagram, their Reels stuff. It's a lot of fun to be able to engage with that. And hey, if you're on there, go check out at Fanatic Dungeon Master and follow me for more fun.
With that, until next time, stay nerdy.